Matachi didn't believe in accidents. The tea she was carrying, jasmine, imported, $20 a cup, was tilting in her hand for a reason. Across the VIP section of the Golden Lotus Tea House, the man in the charcoal suit was about to sign a contract that would bulldoze her grandmother's neighborhood into a luxury parking lot. His name was Park Ji-woo, and he'd spent the last hour bragging about it to his business partner. Big mistake. The tea hit his electronic tablet at precisely the right angle. The screen glitched violently, then died with a final flicker. The unsigned contract disappeared into digital hell. "Oh my," Matachi gasped, her Atlanta accent softening just enough to sound apologetic. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get that cleaned up for you." Jiwoo's face turned the color of an overripe tomato. "Hey, do you have any idea what you just... That's enough." The voice cut through the room. The man sitting across from Jiwoo hadn't moved. He was tall, sharp-featured, wearing a suit that could pay Matachi's annual rent. His eyes were dark and unreadable, fixed not on the ruined tablet, but on her. Kwang Ho. Everyone in Seoul knew that face. You didn't run the Korean Mafia without your picture being whispered about in every back room from Gangnam to Itaewon. "It was an accident," Kwang Ho said, still looking at Matachi. "Leave her alone." But something in his tone said he knew better. Jiwoo sputtered. "Kwang Ho, this clumsy..." "I said, leave her alone." Kwang Ho's voice dropped another degree. Jiwoo shut his mouth. Matachi bowed slightly, playing the part. "I'll bring fresh tea right away, no charge." She walked away. No, but not before catching the way Kwang Ho's eyes followed her, calculatively. Good. Let him wonder. Welcome to Afrock Honeyed Tales, where love crosses borders and empires fall to their knees. I'm your storyteller, and tonight, we're headed to Seoul, where a girl from Atlanta is about to teach a Korean Mafia boss the most expensive lesson of his life. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we don't do boring love stories. Now, let's get into it. That morning had started badly. The boardroom of Hanseong Investments smelled like expensive cologne and casual dismissal. Matachi stood at the head of the conference table, her design portfolio spread out before 5 men in identical navy suits. Her grandmother's silk patterns, bold geometric prints fusing traditional Korean hanbok designs with African-American quilting techniques, stared back at investors who'd probably never left their glass towers. "It's interesting," one of them said. The word landed like a slap. "Interesting how?" Matachi kept her voice level, that Atlanta steel wrapped in velvet. "Interesting as in niche, new ethnic." The man at the head of the table, she'd later learn his name was Ji Woo, smiled like he was doing her a favor. "Miss Park, we appreciate your passion, but the Korean fashion market isn't ready for fusion experiments. Perhaps something more traditional?" Traditional. As if her heritage was something to apologize for. "The market follows vision, Mr. Park," Matachi said, gathering her designs with steady hands. "I'm not asking you to understand my grandmother's legacy. I'm asking you to invest in the future, but clearly you're more comfortable with the past." Jiwoo's smile thinned. "Young lady, we invest in proven business models, not charity cases. Come back when you have something marketable?" Matachi smiled back. Sweet, poisonous. "I'll remember this meeting, promise." She meant it as a threat. They took it as desperation. As she walked out, she memorized Jiwoo's face, his watch, his shoes, the way he'd dismissed her with a wave of his hand like she was nothing. She'd see him again. Soon. 6 hours later, there he was, in the VIP section of the Golden Lotus, signing the very contract that would demolish her neighborhood. The universe had a sense of humor. So Matachi decided to play along. After the tea incident, after Jiwoo stormed out cursing and Kwang Ho stayed behind, Matachi returned with a fresh pot and 2 cups. She set them down without looking at him. "You gonna ignore me?" Kwang Ho asked. "I'm working. Ignoring customers isn't good for tips. You sabotaged that tablet on purpose." Matachi's hand didn't shake as she poured. "That's a serious accusation. You got proof?" "I have eyes." "Then you saw an accident." She finally met his gaze. "Unless you're suggesting I'm the kind of person who'd intentionally destroy someone's property just because they're trying to crush small businesses for profit. That'd be real unprofessional of me. The corner of Kwang Ho's mouth twitched, almost a smile. You know who he is. I know who you are. Kwang Ho of the Kong Mafia. Everybody does. Mr. Park Jiwoo is just another rich man with bad manners. Kwang Ho pulled something from his wallet. Not money, a black card. Matte finish, no text except a gold-embossed seal. A dragon coiled around a needle. The Kong Mafia's calling card. They used it to mark people worth watching. He slid it across the table. For your trouble. Matachi looked at it like he'd offered her a dead fish. I don't need your pity money, Mr. Kong. It's not money, it's an invitation. To what? Your dry cleaning service? She picked up the card, examined it, then set it back down. I don't need an invitation to your world, Kwang Ho. I need a lead investor for my fashion house. Know any billionaires who aren't afraid of bold ideas? The tea house had gone silent. Every server, every customer, everyone was watching. No one spoke to Kwang Ho like this. Ever. He leaned back in his chair, genuinely amused now. You're either really brave or really stupid. I'm really good at what I do. There's a difference. Matachi wiped the table with slow, deliberate movements. My grandmother used to say, a needle in the right hands can build an empire. In the wrong hands, it's just sharp metal. You carry a gun, Mr. Kong. I carry needles. Don't confuse who's actually dangerous here. Kwang Ho's expression shifted. No, something between respect and intrigue. Your grandmother. She wouldn't happen to be Grace Park, would she? Matachi's hand stilled. You know her name. My father spoke of her. Said she was the only tailor in Seoul who could sew a secret into a suit and make it look like art. She still can, when she's not fighting off developers trying to steal her building. Matachi straightened, meeting his eyes with zero fear. Which brings me back to my original point. I don't need your black card, Mr. Kong. I need your money, or your father's, or anyone in your organization who understands that true luxury isn't about playing it safe. It's about being first. Kwang Ho stood. He was tall, taller than she'd expected. He picked up the black card and, instead of pocketing it, placed it in her apron pocket himself. Keep it, he said quietly. Nah, you'll need it when you're ready to stop playing server and start playing the game. Then he walked out, leaving a stack of bills on the table that could have paid her rent for 3 months. Matachi waited until he was gone. Then she pulled out the card and smiled. Phase 1 complete. An hour after her shift ended, Matachi stood in the back room of her grandmother's shop, Grace's house of silk, staring at the wall she'd built over 2 years. It looked like conspiracy theorist madness. Photographs, blueprints, maps, news clippings, red string connecting locations, people, businesses, every major Kong Mafia property, every rival gang's headquarters, every shady real estate deal from the past decade. And in the center, her design board, sketches of suits, dresses, evening gowns. But these weren't just fashion. Note each piece had annotations in her grandmother's handwriting and her own. GPS tracker sewn into lining. Undetectable. Hidden microphone in collar. Activate via phone app. Tearaway seam for emergency escape. Pulls at 45-degree angle. Her grandmother had taught her more than sewing. She'd taught her survival. The bell above the shop door chimed. Matachi didn't turn around. We're closed. Your sign says open until 9. It's 8:30. She'd recognize that voice anywhere now. She spun around. Kwang Ho stood in the doorway of her shop, hands in his pockets, looking around like he owned the place. His eyes landed on the wall. The maps, the photographs. He went very still. You've been tracking us, he said. I've been educating myself. Matachi crossed her arms. There's a difference. Kwang Ho walked closer, studying the wall. His finger traced one of the red strings connecting his father's penthouse to a warehouse in Busan. This is detailed, dangerously detailed. I'm detail-oriented. You're a tailor. My grandmother was a tailor. I'm a designer and a strategist. and the granddaughter of the woman who sewed the first Kong Mafia suits back in 1974. Matachi stepped between him and the wall. The woman who knows exactly where your father hides his secrets, because she sewed the pockets that hold them. Kwang Ho's jaw tightened. That's dangerous knowledge. Only if I'm your enemy. She pulled down one of her sketches, a sleek men's suit with subtle Afro-Korean embroidery along the lapels. Your father came to my grandmother in 1973. He needed a suit tailored for a meeting in Busan. She sewed a hidden pocket into the jacket lining. Then he used it to smuggle diamonds. Those diamonds started your empire. Old history. Those diamonds weren't his, Kwang Ho. Matachi's voice dropped. They were my family's. My grandmother's inheritance from her family back in the States. She brought them to Seoul when she moved here in the 70s. Your empire is built on my blood money. The silence stretched like pulled thread. Kwang Ho's expression was unreadable. And you want them back? No. Matachi smiled. I want more. She gestured to the design board. Dozens of sketches, business plans, projected revenue charts. I'm going to build an empire that makes yours look like a street corner hustle. I'm going to turn Grace's House of Silk into the first Afro-Korean luxury brand that the world can't ignore. And you're going to help me do it. Why would I help you destroy my family's business? Because I'm not interested in destroying it. I'm interested in evolving it. She stepped closer. You're tired of being your father's shadow. I can see it. You want out of the blood and the guns and the midnight calls about bodies that need to disappear, but you don't know how to leave without looking weak. Kwang Ho said nothing. That was answer enough. Here's the deal, Matachi continued. You give me access to the Kong Mafia's 50th anniversary gala. Let me design the suits for your executives. In exchange, I get access to your archives. Everything. Names, accounts, the Golden Needle ledger. His eyes flickered. How do you know about the Golden Needle? My grandmother talks in her sleep. It was a lie, but a good one. Do we have a deal? Kwang Ho studied her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. Not a polite chuckle. A real laugh. Deep and genuine. You're insane, he said. I'm ambitious. There's a difference. He extended his hand. One collection, the gala. If your designs are good enough, I'll get you into the archives. Matachi shook his hand. Her grip was firm. They'll be more than good enough, Mr. Kong. They'll be unforgettable. As Kwang Ho turned to leave, he paused at the door. You know what you're walking into, right? The Mafia isn't a fashion show. It's a war zone. Matachi smiled. Good. I've been preparing for war my whole life. He left. The bell chimed. The shop fell silent. Matachi returned to her design board and pinned up a new sketch. A dress this time. In black silk with golden threading that formed a map. The exact layout of Kong Mafia headquarters. She'd learned a long time ago in Atlanta. The best way to infiltrate an empire wasn't with a gun. It was with a needle and thread. 3 weeks later, Kwang Ho realized he'd made a terrible mistake. Not because Matachi's designs were bad, because they were too good. The sample suit she'd delivered to his office that morning was a masterpiece. Charcoal gray with subtle bronze threading that caught the light like embers. The cut was perfect, sharp enough for a boardroom, flexible enough for a fight. When he tried it on, it fit like it had been grown on his body. Then, he found the note in the inside pocket. Check the lining. M. He did. Sewn into the silk lining, invisible unless you knew where to look, was a tiny GPS chip and a microphone, and a QR code that, when scanned, led to a private server with every movement he'd made while wearing the jacket. She'd bugged him, and she'd left a note telling him she'd bugged him. Kwang Ho didn't know whether to be furious or impressed. He settled on both. He called her. She answered on the first ring. You like it? Matachi's voice was bright, cheerful. You put a tracker in my suit. I put 3 trackers in your suit. If you only found one, you're not looking hard enough. Kwang Ho closed his eyes, took a breath. Matachi, relax, boss. They're inactive. It's a demonstration. Imagine what I could do for your security team, or... Her voice dropped, playful. Imagine what your enemies could do if they hired me instead. Are you threatening me? I'm negotiating. There's a difference. He could hear her smile through the phone. I want the building next to your headquarters, the one your father's been using as storage. I'll pay market value. It's not for sale. Everything's for sale, Kwang Ho. You taught me that. I never taught you anything. You've taught me more than you think. For instance, I learned that the Korean Mafia owns 17 properties through shell companies. I learned that your father meets his mistress every Thursday at the Blue House Hotel. I learned that your rival, Jiwoo, is about to make a move on your Busan operations because he thinks you're distracted. Kwang Ho went very still. How do you know that? I have my sources. Do we have a deal? The building for my continued silence about your father's very interesting private life? This woman was going to be the death of him. Fine. The building's yours. Pleasure doing business, mister. Ah Kong. She hung up. Kwang Ho stared at his phone, then at the suit. Then he started laughing again, because what else could he do? She was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. 2 weeks later, Kwang Ho walked into his office and stopped dead. His window that overlooked the city was completely blocked by a banner. A massive, gorgeous, impossible-to-ignore banner hanging from the building Matachi had just bought. It showed a black woman in a hanbok, a Korean man in a quilted jacket with Afro-American patterns, both wearing crowns made of silk and gold thread. The text read, Grace's House of Silk, where empires are stitched, not inherited. His assistant looked terrified. Sir, should we call building management? Have it taken down? Kwang Ho couldn't stop staring at it, at the fact that she'd hung it directly in his line of sight, ensuring he'd see it every single day. No, he said quietly. Leave it. But sir, I said leave it. Because removing it would mean she'd won. And leaving it meant, well, it also meant she'd won. There was no winning with Matachi Park. He grabbed his coat. Where are you going, sir? To negotiate. The shop was busy when he arrived. Matachi was measuring an elderly Korean woman for a dress, laughing at something the woman said in rapid Korean. When she saw Kwang Ho, she didn't flinch. Mrs. Choi, give me 5 minutes. I need to deal with a hostile takeover attempt. The old woman cackled. That's the mafia boy, isn't it? Don't let him bully you, dear. His father tried that with me once. I hit him with a soup ladle. Matachi grinned. I'll keep that in mind, Mrs. Choi gathered her things and left, but not before giving Kwang Ho a look that said, I know where you live. When they were alone, Kwang Ho closed the door, locked it. That banner is a declaration of war, he said. That banner is advertising. There's a difference. It's blocking my window. Your window blocks my sunlight. We all make sacrifices. Matachi set down her measuring tape. Did you come here to complain, or you got a better offer? I came here to tell you that you're playing a dangerous game. I'm playing your game, Kwang Ho. I'm just better at it. He stepped closer. She didn't back away. You think you know me, he said quietly. You think you've figured me out because you've studied my father's empire and tracked my movements and read some old ledgers. But you don't know what it costs to be in this world. No, you don't know what I've had to do to survive it. Matachi tilted her head. You're right, I don't know. So tell me. He wasn't expecting that. Tell me, she repeated softer now. Tell me why you're still here when you clearly hate it. Tell me why you haven't walked away. Because walking away means people die. My people. Families who depend on mafia protection. Businesses that would collapse without our backing. His voice was raw. I didn't choose this life, Matachi. I inherited it. And now I'm trapped in it. Then let me help you burn it down. He blinked. What? Not destroy it. Transform it. She gestured to her design board. What if the Korean Mafia wasn't known for blood and extortion? What if it was known for fashion, for art? For being the bridge between cultures instead of the wall between them? That's insane. That's vision. She stepped closer. Close enough that he could smell cocoa butter in her hair. You want out, I want in. Let's build something new. Together. Kwang Ho looked at her. Really looked at her. At the fire in her eyes. At the absolute certainty that she could bend the world to her will if she just had the right tools. He'd spent his whole life around dangerous people. But Matachi wasn't dangerous because she carried weapons. She was dangerous because she made him believe in possibilities he'd buried years ago. "You're going to get us both killed," he said, "or we're going to change everything." She smiled. "Isn't that worth the risk?" He didn't answer with words. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was the kind of kiss that tasted like gasoline and matched fire. Reckless, inevitable, burning. Matachi didn't pull away. She grabbed his collar, yanked him closer, and kissed him back like she was claiming territory. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she pulled a measuring tape from her pocket and wrapped it loosely around his neck. "So," she whispered, her lips an inch from his, "is this a merger or a hostile takeover, boss?" Kwang Ho laughed, breathless, surprised. "I don't know anymore." "Good." She released the tape, stepped back, straightened her shirt like nothing had happened. "Keep me guessing. It's more fun that way." He stood there, completely undone, while she returned to her design board like she hadn't just set his entire world on fire. "The gala is in 3 weeks," he finally said. "I'll get you full access to the archives. But Matachi," she glanced over her shoulder. "If you're playing me," he said quietly, "if this is just revenge for those diamonds." "It's not revenge, Kwang Ho." Her expression softened. "It's reclamation. There's a difference." He left before he could do something stupid, like stay. Outside, his driver was waiting. "Back to headquarters, sir?" Kwang Ho looked up at the banner. At Matachi's declaration of war, hanging in the Seoul skyline. "No," he said. "Take me to my father. We need to talk." Because if Matachi Park was going to burn down the Korean Mafia and rebuild it in silk and gold, Kwang Ho needed to make sure his father didn't kill her first. Or worse, try to recruit her. The Korean Mafia's archives were kept in a building that didn't officially exist. Kwang Ho led Matachi there 3 days before the gala, after midnight, when the streets were empty and questions were fewer. "Once we go in," he said, hand on the door, "there's no going back. You'll see things that could get you killed just for knowing they exist." Matachi adjusted her bag, filled with notebooks, a camera, and her grandmother's old lock-picking kit that opened things it shouldn't. "I've been ready for this, my whole life." He believed her. Inside, the building was climate-controlled and eerily silent. Rows of filing cabinets stretched into darkness. Shelves of ledgers bound in leather. Boxes of photographs and documents that would bring down half of Seoul's elite if they ever saw sunlight. "The Golden Needle ledger is in the vault," Kwang Ho said, leading her past decades of organized crime. "My father doesn't even know I have the access code." "How'd you get it?" "My mother. Before she died, she made me promise I'd use it if I ever needed leverage against him." He stopped in front of a reinforced steel door. "I never thought I'd actually need it until I met you." The vault door opened with a hiss. Inside was a single table. On it, one ledger, leather-bound, with a golden needle embroidered on the cover. Matachi's hands trembled as she opened it. The pages were meticulous. Dates, names, transactions. But these weren't crimes. They were assets. Properties purchased with stolen money. Businesses built on embezzled funds. Entire fortunes traced back to their origins. And most of them, she realized with growing horror, led back to one source. Atlanta. 1973. A shipment of textiles and gemstones that arrived in Busan. Not her family's diamonds. "Oh my God," she whispered. Kwang Ho read over her shoulder. His face went pale. Matachi. She flipped through the pages faster. There, her grandmother's name. Grace Lawson, before she'd married and become Grace Park. Listed as asset acquisition consultant. She wasn't a victim, Matachi said, voice hollow. She was part of it. Maybe she didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. Matachi slammed the ledger shut. "She told me the diamonds were stolen from us. She said your father took everything. But she helped him. Her voice broke. Kwang Ho didn't touch her, didn't offer empty comfort. He just stood there, letting her fall apart in the only way he knew how, by being present. After a long moment, Matachi took a shaky breath. "How much? What? How much of your empire is built on my family's money?" Kwang Ho pulled out his phone, did some quick calculations based on the ledger's numbers. His expression darkened. Roughly 40% of our current assets can be traced back to that initial shipment. The rest is growth. 40%. Matachi laughed bitterly. I'm not trying to build an empire, Kwang Ho. I'm trying to take back what was already mine. So, what do you want to do? She looked at him, at this beautiful, complicated, trapped soul who'd kissed her like she was oxygen. I want to finish what my grandmother started, she said. But I'm going to do it legally, publicly. I'm going to use this gala to announce my brand. I'm going to invite every fashion journalist, every investor who ever rejected me, every person who said fusion fashion wasn't marketable. And I'm going to prove them all wrong. And my father? Your father's going to sit in the front row and watch me succeed using the money his empire stole. And he's going to smile and applaud, because if he doesn't, I'll release this ledger to every prosecutor in Seoul. Kwang Ho stared at her. You're blackmailing the most dangerous man in Korea. I'm negotiating. There's a difference. She closed the ledger. You gonna stop me? He should. Every logical part of his brain screamed that he should. Instead, he said, no, I'm gonna help you. Why? Because you're the first person who's ever made me believe there's life after the mafia. Because, he stepped closer, because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to want something that isn't soaked in blood. Matachi's eyes softened. Kwang Ho, don't look at me like that. Not here. Not when we're standing in the middle of every terrible thing my family has ever done. Then where? He took her hand, led her out of the vault, past the archives, into the Seoul night. They ended up on the roof of her building. The banner she'd hung, her declaration of war, flapped in the wind above them. I need you to promise me something, Kwang Ho said. What? When this is over? When you've reclaimed your empire and destroyed mine? Don't forget that I helped you. I could never forget you. You say that now. But empires change people, Matachi. I've seen it happen. I've lived it. She cupped his face in her hands. I'm not your father, and you're not yours. We get to choose who we become. He kissed her again, slower this time, like he was memorizing the taste of hope. When they pulled apart, Matachi smiled. 3 days until the gala. Think you can keep your father from killing me until then? I'll do my best. Good. She pulled out her phone, opened a voice memo. Because I need to record my grandmother's confession. And I need you to be my witness. The next morning, Matachi sat across from her grandmother in the back of the shop. Grace looked smaller than Matachi remembered. Tired. You lied to me, Matachi said quietly. Grace's hands stilled on the fabric she was hemming. About what? The diamonds, the mafia. You weren't a victim, Grandma. You were a partner. Silence. The diamonds. The mafia. You told me they were stolen from us. But the ledger? It lists you as a consultant. Like you worked with him. Silence. Then, slowly, Grace set down her needle. Tears filled her eyes. He called me a consultant? Her voice broke. That man robbed me and had the nerve to put me in his books like I was staff. Grandma, what really happened? Grace took a shaky breath. Your grandfather had just died. I came to Seoul in 1973 with your mama, just a baby, and a bag of diamonds. My family's inheritance, all we had left. I didn't speak Korean, didn't know how to sell them without getting deported or arrested. She wiped her eyes. Taeyang, Kwang Ho's father, he spoke English, seemed trustworthy. He promised to help me find a legal buyer. So desperate. I even sewed a hidden pocket into his suit when he said he needed to carry important documents to Busan for the sale. The diamonds, Matachi whispered. The diamonds. Grace nodded. He came back 3 days later, said customs seized everything. I had no proof, no receipt, nothing. I knew he was lying, but I was alone in a foreign country with a baby and empty hands. But you stayed. WW, the diamonds, the mafia. You told me they were stolen from us. But the ledger, it lists you as a consultant. Like you worked with him. Silence. Then, slowly, Grace set down her needle. Tears filled her eyes. He called me a consultant? Her voice broke. That man robbed me and had the nerve to put me in his books like I was staff? Grandma, what really happened? Grace took a shaky breath. Your grandfather had just died. I came to Seoul in 1973 with your mama, just a baby, and a bag of diamonds. My family's inheritance. All we had left. I didn't speak Korean, didn't know the laws. And I didn't know how to sell them without getting deported or arrested. She wiped her eyes. Tae Yang, Kwang Ho's father. He spoke English, seemed trustworthy, offered to help me find a legal buyer. I was so relieved, baby. So desperate. I even sewed a hidden pocket into his suit when he said he needed to carry important documents to Busan for the sale. The diamonds, Matachi whispered. The diamonds. Grace nodded. He came back 3 days later, said customs seized everything, said there was nothing he could do. I believed him. I had no proof, no receipt, nothing. I was alone in a foreign country with a baby and empty hands. Grace grabbed Matachi's hands. We were victims, baby. Don't let his fancy ledger rewrite history. I didn't partner with that man. He stole from me and called it consulting. Matachi's anger softened. Hey, why didn't you ever tell me? Because I was ashamed. Not of being robbed, of being foolish enough to trust him. Grace squeezed her hands. But you're not foolish. You're going to take back what he stole, and I'm going to help you do it. I'm going to take it back, she said. Everything they stole. I'm going to build the empire you should have built. Grace smiled through her tears. I know you will. You're stronger than I ever was. I learned from the best. They sat in silence, holding hands, two women separated by generations, but united by the same fire. Outside, Seoul buzzed with life. Inside, Matachi began planning the performance of a lifetime. The gala was in 3 days, and she was going to burn the whole world down in silk and gold. Matachi spent the next 72 hours barely sleeping. Her workshop looked like a beautiful war zone, fabric everywhere, half-finished suits on mannequins, her design team working in shifts to meet the impossible deadline. She'd hired 6 seamstresses from her grandmother's network, women who'd been sewing secrets into clothing for decades. Each suit for the gala had a purpose. Kwang Ho's father would wear black with blood-red threading, a suit embedded with a tracker that would ping every offshore account he accessed from his phone. Jiwoo, the rival who'd dismissed her, would wear midnight blue, with a hidden camera in the collar that would record every shady deal he whispered about. The other Mafia executives would wear variations of her Afro-Korean fusion design, each piece a work of art, each piece a weapon. And Kwang Ho, his suit was different. Pure white, and gold threading that formed a subtle map of Seoul, with one golden needle pointing toward her shop. No trackers, just art. On the morning of the gala, everything started falling apart. Matachi's phone rang at 6 a.m., unknown number. Hello? Miss Park. The voice was cold, smooth, dangerous. This is Kong Tae Yang. I believe you've been working with my son, Kwang Ho's father. Her blood went cold. Mr. Kong, what can I do for you? You can stop whatever you're planning. I know that you've seen the ledger, Miss Park. My son was careless with the vault. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Matachi's mind raced. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult my intelligence. You have 48 hours of footage from my archives. You have the Golden Needle ledger. And you're planning to use tonight's gala to expose me. I'm planning to use tonight's gala to launch my fashion line. While using my own event to destroy me? His laugh was cruel. I admire the ambition, Miss Park. Your grandmother would be proud. But I didn't build this empire by letting ambitious children tear it down. What do you want? I want you to wear a different suit tonight. One of mine, not yours. I want you to stand next to my son and smile and play the part of the grateful designer who's been given a chance. And in exchange, I won't have your grandmother's shop burned to the ground with her inside it. The world tilted. You wouldn't try me. The line went dead. Matachi stood there shaking until her assistant knocked on the door. Miss Park, the cars are here. Yeah, we need to start loading the suits. She had 2 choices. Comply and watch her dreams die, or gamble everything on one last move. She chose the gamble. Matachi called Kwang Ho. Your father knows. I know. He called me 20 minutes ago. Kwang Ho's voice was tight. Matachi, you need to cancel. Pull out of the gala. I'll handle him. No. He'll kill you. He'll try. She grabbed her bag. Meet me at the venue, back entrance. Bring your security team. The ones who are loyal to you, not him. What are you planning? A hostile takeover. For real this time. She hung up before he could argue. The gala was being held at the Shilla Hotel, one of Seoul's most prestigious venues. Matachi arrived 4 hours early with her team, rolling racks of suits and dresses through the service entrance. Kwang Ho met her in the loading bay. His face was pale. My father has 30 men stationed around this building. If you try anything, I'm not trying anything. I'm delivering exactly what I promised. She handed him a garment bag. Your suit. Put it on. Matachi, trust me. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he took the bag. While he changed, Matachi gathered her team. Listen up. Tonight, we're not just launching a fashion line. We're launching a revolution. Every suit you made has documentation sewn into the lining, bank statements, property deeds, evidence of every illegal transaction the Korean Mafia has made in the past 20 years. Her head seamstress, Mrs. Kim, went pale. Matachi, they'll kill us. They'll try. But here's the thing. I've already sent copies of everything to every major news outlet in Seoul. Timed release. If anything happens to me, or to any of us, it all goes public automatically. You're insane, Mrs. Kim whispered. I'm thorough. There's a difference. Matachi smiled. Now let's get dressed. We have an empire to topple. The gala started at 8 p.m. By 7:45, the ballroom was filled with Korea's elite. Fashion journalists, investors, politicians, mafia members. And in the front row, Kang Tae-yang, looking like a king surveying his kingdom. Matachi stood backstage, wearing a dress she'd designed specifically for this moment. Black silk with gold threading that formed the outline of Atlanta and Seoul, connected by a single golden needle. Kwang Ho found her in the wings. He looked devastating in the white suit. Every inch the prince who'd chosen his queen over his crown. Last chance to run, he said. I don't run. She adjusted his collar. I fight. Then let's fight together. The lights dimmed. The announcer's voice boomed. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the designer of tonight's collection, Matachi Park of Grace's House of Silk. Matachi walked onto that stage like she owned it, because she did. Good evening, she said into the microphone. Thank you all for coming. Tonight, I'm not just showing you fashion. I'm showing you the future. A future where heritage isn't erased, it's celebrated. Where empires aren't built on secrets and blood, they're built on art and truth. In the front row, Kang Tae-yang's smile was frozen. Each suit you'll see tonight tells a story, Matachi continued. Some stories are beautiful, some are ugly, but all of them are true. And truth, as we all know, is the most dangerous weapon of all. She nodded to the tech crew. A massive screen descended behind the runway. The first model walked out wearing the charcoal suit with blood-red threading, the one designed for Kang Tae-yang. On the screen behind him, video footage began playing. It was Kang Tae-yang, in that exact suit, sitting in a restaurant 3 days ago. The audio was crystal clear. Transfer the funds to the Cayman account. Make sure there's no paper trail. If the prosecutor asks, we were never in Busan. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Matachi smiled. That footage was recorded by a camera sewn into the collar of the suit you're seeing right now. Another model walked out. Another video played. This time it was Ji Woo, bragging about bribing a city official. Then another executive, discussing a weapons shipment. Then another, laughing about a rival's unfortunate accident. The audience began pulling out phones. Cameras flashed. Journalists were already typing. Kang Tae-yang stood up, face white with rage. Enough, he said. Matachi's smile widened. Oh, we're just getting started. You see, I didn't just record your crimes, Mr. Kong. I recorded everyone's. And in approximately 30 seconds, Every journalist in this room will receive a cloud storage link with over 72 hours of footage, authenticated by digital forensics experts I hired last month. She pulled out her phone. Hit send. Every phone in the ballroom buzzed simultaneously. You can kill me, Matachi said calmly. You can kill everyone in this room. But you can't kill 72 hours of video evidence that's already been uploaded to servers in 5 different countries. Hi, with automatic releases to prosecutors if I don't check in every 24 hours. Kong Taeyang looked around. His men were frozen. Half the room was already watching the videos on their phones. You played with guns, Matachi said. I played with technology. Guess which one's harder to destroy? Kong Taeyang's face went white with rage. And then Kwang Ho stepped onto the stage next to Matachi. Father, he said quietly, it's over. You betrayed me. Your own blood. You betrayed yourself the moment you chose power over family. Kwang Ho's voice was steady. I'm done. I'm walking away from the mafia, and I'm taking everyone who wants out with me. Half the room stood up. Executives, associates, people who'd been waiting for someone to give them permission to leave. Kong Taeyang looked around at his crumbling empire, at his son standing with the woman who'd destroyed everything. You'll regret this, he said. Maybe, Kwang Ho replied, but I'll regret it free. Security arrived. Not mafia security, actual police. Agents who'd been waiting for this moment, tipped off by Matachi's carefully orchestrated leak. Kong Taeyang was arrested on the spot. The gala dissolved into chaos. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashed. The story of the century was unfolding in real time. And in the middle of it all, Matachi and Kwang Ho stood together. We did it, she whispered. You did it. I just held your hand. That's all I needed. He kissed her, right there, in front of everyone. A kiss that tasted like freedom and felt like victory. When they pulled apart, Matachi was smiling. So, boss, she said, ready to work for a living? Kwang Ho laughed. What did you have in mind? Silent partner, chief of security, professional handholder. She straightened his collar. I'm going global, Kwang Ho, and I need someone to carry my bags. I think I can manage that. Outside, Seoul sparkled. Inside, an empire fell. And from the ashes, something new began to rise. 6 months later, Atlanta, Georgia. The private jet touched down at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport at sunset, painting the sky in shades of amber and gold. Matachi pressed her face to the window, watching the city she'd left behind come into view. She was home. Kwang Ho sat next to her, laptop open, reviewing security protocols for the event. He'd taken to his new role with the same intensity he'd once used for mafia business, except now, instead of managing crimes, he was managing fashion shows. The venue is secure, he said. Local security team briefed. VIP guests confirmed. Your grandmother lands in 2 hours. She's actually flying back? Matachi couldn't hide her surprise. She said, and I quote, I didn't survive a whole mess of nonsense just to miss my grandbaby's coronation. Matachi laughed. That sounds like her. After the gala, everything had moved fast. Kong Taeyang was in prison, along with 15 of his top associates. The mafia had fractured. Some members arrested, others went legitimate. A few disappeared into the shadows where they'd always belonged. Kwang Ho had used his portion of the reclaimed assets to start a foundation for people trying to leave gang life. Matachi had used hers to build what she'd always dreamed of, Grace's House of Silk, global headquarters in Seoul, flagship stores in New York, or London, Paris, and now Atlanta. The show tonight wasn't just a fashion show. It was a homecoming, a reclamation, a statement that said, we were here first, we'll be here last. The collection was called Golden Needle, a tribute to her grandmother's past and her own future. Every piece fused Korean structure with African-American textiles. Every design told a story of survival, resistance, beauty. The venue was the High Museum of Art, one of Atlanta's cultural landmarks. Inside, hundreds of guests were already arriving. Fashion journalists from Vogue, Elle, GQ, investors who'd once rejected her, celebrities who'd heard the legend and wanted to be part of history. And in the front row, reserved seating, her grandmother Grace, Mrs. Kim and her team of seamstresses. and an empty chair with a photo of Kwang Ho's mother, the woman who'd given him the vault code and, unknowingly, helped change everything. Backstage, Matachi's team was controlled chaos. Models being fitted, hair and makeup in full swing, music testing, lighting cues. Matachi stood in the center of it all, wearing the final piece of the collection, a floor-length gown that looked like liquid gold, with black embroidery forming the map of 2 continents connected by silk roots. Kwang Ho found her in the dressing room. "You look..." He stopped, searched for words, failed. "You look like everything I never knew I was looking for." She smiled. "That's the most romantic thing you've ever said to me." "I'm working on it. Give me time." "We have time now." She took his hand. "No more running. No more hiding. It's just us and whatever we build." "I still can't believe you pulled this off." "We pulled this off." She squeezed his hand. "You gave up everything for this, Kwang Ho. Your family, your name, your empire." "I didn't give it up. I traded it for something better." He cupped her face. "I traded it for a future that doesn't smell like blood." Someone knocked. "5 minutes, Miss Park." Matachi took a breath. "This is it." Nervous? Terrified? Good. That means it matters. They walked to the wings together. The crowd was massive. Easily 500 people packed into the museum. The energy was electric. The lights dimmed. Music swelled. A fusion of Korean gayageum and Atlanta trap beats. And Matachi Park stepped onto the stage. "Good evening, Atlanta!" Her voice boomed through the speakers. The crowd erupted. Man, she waited for the noise to die down. Then she began. "My name is Matachi Park. I am the granddaughter of Grace Okafor, who survived struggle, crossed an ocean, and built an empire with nothing but a needle and thread. I am the daughter of 2 worlds, America and Korea, and for a long time, I thought I had to choose between them." She gestured to the first model, who walked out wearing a suit that looked like sunrise, gold and coral, and deep navy blue. "But I don't have to choose. Neither do you. We are not half of anything. We are whole. We are the bridge. We are the future." Model after model walked, each piece more stunning than the last. The audience was silent, mesmerized. And then came the finale. 12 models, 6 in traditional Korean hanbok, reimagined with African-American quilting patterns. So 6 in traditional Southern Belle silhouettes, reimagined with Korean silk and structure. They walked in pairs, meeting in the center of the runway, forming a living bridge. The crowd went wild. Matachi walked the runway with them, her golden gown catching every light, every eye, every camera. And at the end of the runway, waiting for her, her grandmother. Grace stood up, tears streaming down her face. Matachi knelt in front of her, in front of everyone, and took her grandmother's hands. "I finished what you started, Grandma. We're free." Grace pulled her into a hug. "You didn't finish it, baby. You transformed it. You made it beautiful." The applause was deafening. Later, at the after-party, Matachi stood on the balcony overlooking Atlanta. The city hummed with life, music, voices, laughter, the eternal rhythm of a place that refused to be broken. Kwang Ho found her there. "You did it," he said. "You actually did it." "We're just getting started," she leaned into him. "Next year, Tokyo, Johannesburg, Dubai. In 5 years, our own textile factories, design schools, a foundation for young designers from marginalized communities. Always thinking ahead. That's how empires are built." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "Matachi? Yeah? Marry me." She turned to look at him. He wasn't kneeling, wasn't holding a ring, just standing there with his heart in his hands. "Are you serious?" "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." He took her hands. "I want to build this empire with you, not as your employee or your partner or your silent investor, as your husband, as the person who gets to watch you conquer the world and hold your bags while you do it." Matachi started laughing, then crying, then both. "Yes, yes, you ridiculous, wonderful man. Yes." He kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promises. When they pulled apart, the Atlanta skyline stretched before them. Infinite, possible, theirs. So, CEO, Kwang Ho murmured. What's next? Matachi smiled, pulled out her phone, showed him the email she'd just received. It was from the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Subject line, Met Gala 2025. Designer invitation next? She grinned. The world, Kwang Ho. We take the whole damn world. He laughed, pulled her close. Then let's get started. And somewhere in Seoul, in a small shop that had survived wars and empires and time itself, a golden needle caught the light. I'm not waiting for the next story to be stitched. And that's how a girl from Atlanta took down a Korean Mafia boss with nothing but needles, cameras, and audacity. Now I need to know, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Are you in Lagos, Seoul, New York, Atlanta, London? Let me know. If you made it all the way to the end, you're the real MVP. Thank you for riding with me on this one. Hit that like button if you want more stories like this, where the underdog doesn't just win, she builds an empire. And if you're wondering what happens next, well, Matachi's going to the Met Gala. And trust me, the fashion world has no idea what's about to hit them. Should I tell that story next? Let me know. Until then, I'm out. Stay dangerous, stay fabulous. And remember, never underestimate a woman with a needle and a plan.